Tisk, 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 Mr. Poole. What have you gotten yourself into? Now, one thing about Tim Pool that I respect is that for the most part, he remains neutral. He refers to himself as a milk toast fence sitter, but I don't believe that's his true character. I believe that he's protecting his business and his brand, knowing how fickle YouTube is with their moderation. But now there's another group that controls everything around him that he's finally starting to realize, and they're even more fickle and more sensitive than the YouTube gods. See, lately, Tim Pool has been effectively, in my opinion, insulting and shitting on Candace Owens for doing anything a responsible friend would do, which is if you are harmed or killed under suspicious circumstances, this friend will keep your name alive, will keep people asking questions, and will try to get to the bottom of what happened to you to protect your name and your legacy, but also to maybe protect others in the future. Why so many people feel it's their duty to come out and denounce her and call her evil for just asking questions about an extremely suspicious set of events, I have no idea. I have no clue. Tim Pool thought that he could do the same. He thought he could talk shit about Candace Owens, but now he is Candace Owens. Tim doesn't know this yet, but he's on the outs. Tim is actually now Nick Fuentes, and he doesn't know it. That's how disloyal and sensitive this group is. You make one false step. Think about how many years Tucker Carlson spent defending Israel. Think about how many years Charlie Kirk spent defending Israel. And when Charlie Kirk sat up there with PBD and he said, it looks like, I'm going to be honest, it looks like they're doing an ethnic cleansing. What was it, 90 days later? He's gone. But we're going to believe it's some autistic trans kid that no one's seen him go up there. They have cameras everywhere, yet there's no footage of him taking the shot, just footage of him walking on the roof, if that's even him. Why is there no footage of him taking the shot? Why did they push Charlie Kirk down and hold his head where the exit, wherever the wound is? Because we're not going to call it the exit wound. The wound where you've seen on video the fluid fly out. Why did they turn him on that side of his body where it's kind of like dumping it in? Wouldn't you have turned him the other way to kind of hold in and clog it with gauges and then move him or get him to an ambulance, but stop the bleeding at least? See, there's all these questions you're not supposed to ask. See, I'm not worried about being uninvited to AmFest. I wasn't invited in the first place. Tim was. Tim has 3 years running, and I'll be honest, he's a very modest guy. We're going to let him speak in a second. He's like, I wasn't the biggest name there. Shut the fuck up, Tim. Yes, you are. I only know about AmFest because of you. I live in Austin part-time. I have a house in Austin. I only know about the Lodge poker room because of Tim. Tim is bringing 12 or 13 personalities with him. Ian Crossland. There's so many people that come along. What's my other guy good dude from the band that's on the show now working with him? I love his opinions as well. The anti-communist, because I'm an anti-communist. He brings a lot with him. He is the most known person at AmFest. Have you seen the evangelicals? How plain and lame and how they all look alike? It's like a cult. Tim, you're not in the cult. Charlie was the only part. Charlie was supposed to be the leader of the cult. But once he decided to break away from the messaging, They removed him. Charlie Kirk brought you in. Charlie Kirk was the one who wanted to bring Candace back. Charlie Kirk platformed Dave Smith. Tim Pool, even though he's been talking shit about Candace for doing this investigation, he's also been platforming people that had a whole lot of shit to say about Zionism and Israel. Has a lot. He's been bringing on different people, and Israel's catching strays on the Tim Pool podcast left and right, to the point where how Tim always wants to shut people down and say, oh, you have Israel derangement syndrome and blah, blah, blah. But yet he's bringing on Myron Gaines. Yet he has all these other guests on. And how is it that we all see the same pattern of what's happening, but Tim doesn't? Tim does. And he expounds that in his After Hours show. If you're a member, I'm a member of Timcast. You know, I've been a member for years. I got it. This was one of the first people that talked to me about politics when I had zero idea what was going on. I just know I was in the middle of lockdown. Like, what do I do next? But I wanted to figure out, but he was talking about Trump a lot. I wanted to hear it. I can tell that he's hurt and he's insulted, but he doesn't understand. This is an Israel cutout now. There is no bringing in Americans, America first, and they'll dissolve Turning Point because there is no replacing Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was everything. There is no Turning Point without Charlie Kirk. You know who goes up there? A bunch of boring, lame, unknown, unnamed people, Zionist shills, Israel first, who are just going to go up there, provide lip service, and beg for money from their cult. It's a Joel Osteen thing, just a little bit more focused. Nothing special. Tim Pool is special. His show and his personalities were the only fun, good thing about the whole AmFest. You can hear it in Tim Pool's voice. He's hurt. See, not being invited and then being uninvited are two different things. He was uninvited. That means the powers that be said, wait a minute. Even though you're shitting on Candace in our behalf, you platform some people we don't like. Isn't that what Charlie did? And what they do to Charlie? See, Charlie was easy to get to. He was in the public. It's hard to get to Tim. He's holed up in a bunker because he knows his ass is grass if he gets any exposure. Do you know how much he spends on security? That's for a reason. Because words and certain people have power. Me, I'm an unknown. I'm an outlier. I'm new. One day, maybe I'll get invited on the Tim Pool show. Maybe the fuck not. I have thousands of clips, hundreds of videos. I get up here and I talk to people who care to listen about certain topics. Period. Some people will care about me, some don't. If I become bigger, then I'm going to also, and I already live in a secure location, it's going to have to be more secure because I'm going to have to deal with the swattings. I'm going to have to deal with the threats, the crazy emails. If I start doing interviews, if I start getting the word out, if there's another me, because Brandon Tatum turned into Brandon Talmud, he's gone off the reservation. Everyone's unfollowing him because we know he's full of shit. He's disingenuous. There's no way an American black can be that in love with a place that I don't even know if he's ever even been there. People he's not related to at all. There's no way your plight can be so serious where you can relate to these fucks. It's impossible. After watching an active genocide on X every day, there's no way to excuse it. Oh, he's not being paid. He knows who butters his toast. He knows who, even if they're not paying him directly, he knows who could pull the plug on him. With Tim, you can't. He has his own website, his own, there's a bunch of us. We pay monthly, just to be a part of his network. Because he brings on different people every day for us to hear from. And it's not always an echo chamber. Sometimes they argue. He gets pissed off. But he reminds me of Kirk. He's like a walking index where he can reference things that other people, it takes him a while to pick up on. I have that gift when it comes to certain topics as well. That's why people like us, we're good at playing Jeopardy. Too good. But I wanted to do this because he did what he could to try to stay on their good side. It's never going to be good enough because one false move and they'll cut you off. Now he is going to be persona non grata I see other things he will no longer be invited to, because this is just the first wave. Remember, this is how it begins. They start cutting you off from certain things. They try to silence you. They start flagging you. They start removing your videos. Him not being invited to AmFest when they need him, what threat would Tim Pool be there? Oh, because he brought people that were critical of the genocide, who are asking questions about what happened to Charlie. It's a shame. But listen to him. He's in pain and he's very modest. But I just wanted you guys to hear what he has to say, and then I'll come back on.
Hello there, Timcast audience, friends, fans, subscribers. I'm making this video to give you the update on our end of the year show, and I feel like I am obligated to you to make this video now. We will not be, Timcast IRL will not be at America Fest 2025 this year. It is with a heavy heart that I say this, but we were not invited. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of tumult, grief, a change in views. There's a lot to break down in why we were not invited. And I believe that because we at Timcast IRL on the show, I, as well as others here, had promoted ticket sales and encouraged our viewers to purchase tickets, I have an obligation to you to explain that we won't be there. AmFest is way bigger than me. It's way bigger than this show, and they can do whatever they want. I am a little...
Lies. AmFest is not shit without Tim Pool. Without Charlie Kirk, AmFest is not even a thing. It's ceremonial because at this point he's been there for 3 years. But he's lying. AmFest is not bigger than Tim Pool. It's not bigger than Timcast. It's not more relevant. It's just the go-to for this small cult of evangelicals that do nothing else besides praise and go to church and, do the holier than thou thing. It's important to probably them, which is not a very large populace. Tim Pool gets millions of views a week. So he's being humble and modest, but he was the main attraction, in my opinion. I don't know. There's no one else being premiered at AmFest that's even worth seeing. He doesn't understand, but he was only there because of Charlie. Charlie made them build an entire set just for Tim Pool and his cast. Charlie personally invited them. Charlie was the glue. Without Charlie, none of these people deal with any of us. Candace, Dave, Tim, obviously. Because without Charlie, it's all just Israel. The whole organization is about collecting money and funding from Jewish and Israeli donors to not talk bad about Israel while they're at war. Look at the uptick in funding they've received since the genocide in Gaza began. It's not they're not being paid to say things. It's what you're being paid to ignore. That's how these news agencies work too. They're not paid to say certain things. They're paid to not say certain things. That's how you don't see a bunch of critical stories about Bill Gates, him being kicked out of different countries, the different trials that he's a part of, the different lawsuits that he's lost. You didn't even know that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Dale Bigtree won this huge lawsuit against the pharmaceutical companies, and then they were kicked off of the internet in the end of 2020. You don't even know because these news agencies are paid to not talk about it. So then you got people like myself, independent. I talk about whatever the fuck I want. I get a few donations here and there. I have a couple of sponsors who I read for. I play their advertisements. But I say whatever. I say what I can actually read for myself. No one to interpret for me. I'm different than a news person on TV. That's why no one watches TV anymore. You mean there's people watching this video right now, dozens, actually hundreds, and they're going to share, and I'm going to send these clips everywhere. Thousands of views, tens of thousands of views about things that people don't normally know about. So don't let him lie to you. He's bigger than AmFest.
Saddened that we will not be coming. We were there 3 years in a row every year, and it was very amazing. And I am eternally grateful to Charlie Kirk and the crew there for having us out the way they did. And it's sad that the vision has changed in such a way. But I don't want people who have booked tickets and plan to go, hoping to see us, to be upset that we're not there. And I have had people asking me, wait, don't say anything. But I don't think that's fair to you, who we have told to purchase tickets. So we are now 1 month away from the event. And I know that most people attending are not just attending to see me. I think I'm actually one of the smallest portion of the event.
Lies. You think people in AmFest are going to let just anybody ask just anything to the people on the stage? They tried that with JD Vance a few weeks ago. Didn't go too well. You can tell these were scripted questions. And he answered them on the fly, but you can tell that the people that were getting up there to the mic were not just any old body. These were people that were screened. Timcast will take any questions from the audience. Ian Crossland might start going off about graphene. You don't know what's going to happen. But that's a wild card. What if at AmFest, somebody randomly in the audience magically makes it to the mic and brings up Israel while they're recording live? And the people on the stage start going off like how Timcast people do, how people like myself do. Just talking about actual facts about this country the size of New Jersey. They couldn't have that. And they're going to block him out of other events. The good thing about Timcast is that he doesn't go to shit anyway. He doesn't need to. He's literally bunkered down because it's not safe outside. Just ask Charlie. And he's not the only one. He won't be the first or the last. Let him go.
And always have been. But we represent a bit of a different audience. But I do know that we have fans who show up for us. And I owe it to you to make sure you don't buy tickets or do something that you may later regret when you find out we didn't inform you. After promoting the event, we're not there. So we won't be there. And this is due to, I was informed, comments I had made that were deemed hurtful to people there. And if that's the case, so be it.
Tim is a fence sitter. I haven't heard, and I watch a lot of them, never heard him say anything disparaging about Erica, about the pastor, about all these other scammers and grifters and liars who are helping cover up what happened to Charlie. And by covering up, I mean just not even talking about it, not being curious about what happened to their dear friend. It's because Charlie being gone means they can just divide up his wealth. See, that's how it goes when you're the one with money and everybody around you is basically broke compared to you. They smile in your face, but they're all hoping that you'll choke on a chicken bone and die, and they can make it to your house first so they can break into your safe. Maybe they can become you. Maybe they can start dating your wife and put on their Rico skin outfit and just take over your life. If you're the one with money, everyone around you hates you, even if you think they're your friends. They really are not. They're not. They want to be you. No man wants to be another man's sidekick or second in command or another man's bitch. McCoy was Charlie Kirk's bitch. His dad knew it. And why did his dad want him to now take over Charlie's place and be Charlie? Why do you think they're playing ball the way they are? Strategically. That's how it goes in the real world. Let's not even lie to ourselves. Look at all the drug dealers. You think the drug dealers they go to jail because they get sloppy? No, they go to jail because their best friend, who's also rich, wants to be richer, and he wants his wife. He wants to take over his life as his kids, and he sets them up to be killed or to go to prison. Happens all this is how it goes through human history. Happens in all the old kingdoms, betrayals. It's all about people clawing to be at the top. What do they say on the Highlander? There can be only one. There can be only one Charlie Kirk. And in some people's minds, if they got rid of Kirk, they can be him. They got him out of the way. People like Tim are no longer going to be allowed at any of these events. And honestly, I don't even see them having more events. They don't need it. This was to get access to Charlie's money. And if they can't influence the people to follow Israel, they're definitely not going to let Charlie change their focus and be against Israel. They're better off just dissolving TPUSA and just leaving it where it is right now than risking turning them against the Zionists. Now, that's going to happen regardless because the globalists are here. And the Zionists don't stand a snowball's chance in hell against the Islamic horde controlled by the globalists. They don't stand a chance. So, Tim, you're going to have to reshape your alliances, and you're going to have to be real with yourself going forward. The day of the Zionists are over. Kissing their ass is not going to save you anymore.
I get it. I'm not one to pull my punches. I criticize those that I deem to be critical. I don't think I said anything that should have been considered hurtful or offensive, but it is what it is. I think the management structure has changed as such that we are not welcome. And we're now at the point where, although I'm going to give you the full transparency and explain everything that's going on, there certainly are people at the event who do want us there. The concern that I have is that if there is any function of, we don't like what Tim has to say, I'm not here to create an awkward circumstance or bring any hostility. And so it's better that I just give you the full transparent view of where I think we are. I also want to add that I have frustrations with the politicking that is currently going on, not just related to Turning Point, but behind the scenes with many prominent personalities and politicos and politicians. I believe that people are pulling their punches, refusing to speak out because of concerns of the current infighting and the potential that things could break apart. And it is unfortunate, but I do believe that the sooner we rip the Band-Aid off, we can get refocused and try and figure out what we can do.
What he's returned to as far as the infighting is the TPUSA faith. It's Rob McCoy and his father. They wrote on WikiLeaks that Rob McCoy was supposed to succeed Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk had wrote that in some secret documents that only they can see and no one else has ever seen them. And what they're trying to do is make it so that if they put that Charlie and the McCoy were partners and they both were the CEO and they both were lead, that any disbursement of the money would have to go through them as well. This is what we call a hostile takeover. Erica Kirk is only but one woman. The McCoys have a little bit more power than everyone else because they were more involved. But also, if everyone's keeping secrets, then nobody can talk and nobody can say no or go against the other, or all hell will break loose. So no one's going to say anything. The infighting is because of this is a takeover. Now is trying to see where's the money going to land. And I'm talking about over 100 million or more that's in these accounts controlled by Kirk, and they're trying to figure out who's siphoning the money and where is it going to. The McCoys made their move first before the rest of the vultures came in. Just like anybody else. And you ever had a family? You ever had your grandmother pass away? And then all your aunts and uncles who never spoke to her or came to visit her, now they're showing up and laying claim to stuff, and they're trying to put their name on paperwork and say they were the only child. It's the same thing. Humans are pretty consistent across the board. The reason Erica Kirk is not getting too involved is because she's on to a new assignment. Erica Kirk's goal is to be one day Erica Kirk Vance, the First Lady of the United States. She has bigger fish to fry. If my calculations are correct, and what they're saying about Kash Patel's girlfriend is true, then that means that was the same. That's how Charlie met Erica. That's how a lot of these politicians met their significant others. They were sent to them. It wasn't natural. They didn't know each other from high school. These are relatively new people in their life that showed up once they started becoming more prominent. I explained that on one of my previous episodes, the whole honeypot situation. Can't sue me. I mean, for what? You want my Lacoste sweater? It's yours. There's a bunch of dog fur on it. When I say I'm doing my show in front of a live audience, it's my 3 dogs right here watching me and wondering why the hell I'm talking to a ring light. But if my calculations are correct, that's why Erica Kirk is moved on to bigger and better things. She has a new assignment. She's a soldier. Just the same way she moved on after the Romanian Angel scandal. It's the same way she moved on after what happened to Kirk. And I don't think she's going to drop Kirk's last name. I think she will hyphenate it. She will be Erica Kirk -Vance. One day. I've seen this episode before. I've seen how this movie plays out. What are they going to say about JD Vance's wife? What about her? Oh, well, she magically got sick. Turbo cancer. Took her out soon. Now bonded by grief. JD Vance, Erica Kirk, the new liberation of America, the new team. 3 years a lot can happen in 3 years. Comes at you fast. If all this stuff is the Truman Show and it's all scripted and we're all living a movie, which is what it seems like right now. None of this seems natural anymore. It all just seems like a soap opera, a dirty Tyler Perry movie. Then we can kind of predict how things are going to go. I knew Tim Pool was not going to be invited to these cookouts going forward when I've seen the people he's been having on lately. And his name is Phil That Remains. He's also critical of Israel and the genocide. And Ian Crossland is a damn near a full-time liberal. Obviously, he's also against it. Tim Pool is the milk sitter, the fence sitter, but he's platforming them. Remember, they don't like you letting people be platformed. They didn't want Charlie to bring on Dave Smith to have that debate against Josh Hammer. And in that debate, you never even hear Josh Hammer speak because he's a bum. You only hear the highlights of what Smith said. You never hear the counter arguments from Josh Hammer because they don't have a counter argument. That's why Ben Shapiro won't debate Nick Fuentes. They don't have there is no counterpoint. There is no counter argument. There's nothing to say. You got to read between the lines. So, yeah, they're not going to have these people on there. They feel like Tim Pool is the source. And sometimes they want to cut the head off the snake. Tim Pool has to be vigilant, make sure his security stays top notch, and make sure they don't get bought out by somebody else, if you know what I mean.
To maintain a movement and succeed in helping this country. There are many challenges ahead, certainly some of them the fault of Trump, that's for sure. And we're going to need to have an honest assessment about what is currently going on if we are going to succeed in the future. But let me give you the backstory of where we currently are and why I'm not invited to even attend America Fest. A few weeks before they murdered Charlie Kirk, the last texts I had sent to him, I asked him if we were still on for IRL as we are with most years because we wanted to get things booked in advance. Charlie told me he'd circle back the team. He'd get right back to me. And, I'm not a big fan of the revealing text or whatever, but unfortunately, they murdered him.
He would be a fan if he hadn't talked shit about Candace Owens for being transparent. That's what this is the part that pisses me off to the point where it's hard for me to just have a civilized conversation with certain people, especially men. You have to be mindful of everything you say. Everything you accuse somebody of, somebody can accuse you of. He wishes he could show those texts, but it was just 2 weeks ago you were slamming Candace for being transparent when everyone said she was lying and didn't have receipts. See, you box yourself into a corner when you start thinking you know everything. You're not even open to hearing it, or maybe you just don't want to know because you're scared of what's going to happen if you find out the truth. There's consequences. Charlie faced them. The rest of us will too eventually. That's how it's going. It's a war. Nothing is free. I wish he wouldn't have boxed himself into a corner because then he could show us the text and he can go over the conversations he had with his friend. But then he would sound like Candace. He was just shitting on her for talking about her friend and caring about what happened to him. She's the only one who fucking cares. She's the only one that's hurt. So that's why I talk about Erica Kirk Vance the way I do. Candace was the only one in his corner. I wonder if Candace's husband is giving him her shit. I doubt it. See, that's what a real friend does. Tim, if he was a real friend of Charlie, they'd be questioning these allegations more. And don't get me wrong, they've asked questions, but he would try. Oh, they tried to say there was a guy in a bush on the seat. Bro, that's one person said one idiotic thing. And what about the rest of the fucking evidence? What about the rest of the receipts? What about the rest of the proof, the other footage? Everything doesn't add up. You don't want to talk about it because you're afraid that they're going to kick you out of the circle. And look what, buddy? They kicked you out anyway. You're better off just being genuine and being yourself. Now, nobody's perfect. I still rock with Tim, but we got to do better. And I doubt he's ever going to see me talking. Who am I? I'm nobody. I'm just a guy that complains on the internet. I'm nobody. But still, you know, voices like mine eventually grow. It's not like I'm going to stop. I'm not being paid to do this. So imagine if I start making money doing this, then I'm never going to stop. I can sit here and talk to people all day. Why do you think I have so much content on the internet? I was being suppressed until about a month ago. Now I get subscribers coming out of nowhere every day just to hear me talk about these topics because they agree with what I'm saying. And some people talk to me just because they disagree. Whatever works, in my opinion.
They killed the guy who was holding everything together. I believe that Charlie was the principal voice, the strength, the glue that brought this movement together and was able to get a disaffected, moderate liberal type like me, skateboarding musician, weird guy in weird clothes, to come hang out with some suit-wearing conservatives and talk about how we can make this country better and build the movement. I truly believe Charlie would have been president someday. Following his murder, we were in constant communication with the team over at Turning Point, as we're largely friends, and my staff are friends. And
you know, one quick thing about him saying Charlie would have been president one day, I agree. He would have been our president. But if you think about it, anybody who gets a lot of face time can be our president. Schwarzenegger, who barely spoke fucking English without a thick-ass accent, was our governor. We used to call him the governor back in California. Whoever has the most face time that the public knows can win. Trump had tons of face time. The people knew him. They knew him in and out. They knew him before he was a president and knew him as a civilian. See, that's where transparency comes in. You know what the person thinks about certain topics because you've heard them talk about them online. Tim Pool one day could run for president and win because people know his thoughts. At least they know him. You go vote for some stranger, then it's a roll of the dice of what you're going to get. What if you vote for a person and you find out they're Israel first? Like we're just now finding out about fucking Trump. And I'm wearing a Trump hat still. And I still like him and I hope he adjusts himself. I have a little faith. He didn't say shit bad about the Nick Fuentes Tucker Carlson interview when he could have. He said Tucker has the right to interview whoever he wants to. That was the right answer, Trump. Because of that, I don't think that you're completely Israel first or completely absorbed by the Zionist movement or whatever. But that makes your faith in him wither. When he says Americans don't have the talent, when we're literally Americans are training these fucking people from South Korea that are illegals to do jobs that they're going to end up replacing Americans to do. So if they got all this talent, why do we got to train them over here? Obviously, they're not coming over here because they have more talent than us. They're coming over here because they're going to take less money than us, and that's going to be more profit for these companies that are funding your campaigns. And that, unfortunately, is not America first. It's just not, Trump. So you're going to have to get your shit together. But yeah, anybody who has a lot, think about it. Nick Fuentes one day could be president because we're watching him, right? We know what he thinks about every topic from every angle. One day, if I ran for office, I don't have to campaign. I just have to, if I was running for office, say I was running for city council or mayor or governor, but I'm an American, I can run for president. Say that obscure chances 30 years from now. Even though I have a background, I've been arrested, I've been through all kinds of shit. I'm a regular American. I'm not Barack Obama, never had a speeding ticket. No one remembers him except magically the guy that was there when he was born 50 years ago. And this weird birth certificate of birth, of live birth, instead of a birth. I'm actual American, right? You know what I think about every topic, no matter what angle it comes from. If you know more about me, if I was running for office, I would just basically, my campaign ads would just be clips from different episodes of me sitting here talking to the people before I had any ambitions of running for office, just so they can know what I would think. So if you want to debate me, you can just debate my clips. You don't have to debate me personally because everyone knows what I'm going to say. My conversation is uniform. I don't have anything new to say. Everything I say today, I'm going to say tomorrow. It's the same thing. I'm a typical guy. So yeah, Charlie would have been president, but there's hope. There's more personalities like me, like Tim, like Candace. We're out here and we're talking to you. And one day you might want us to talk to you on a national scale. And we will. And we I wouldn't want any money. I wouldn't want a $400,000 a year paycheck. I think that's corruption. I don't like money in politics, period. I think it should all be removed. Pelosi is a good example of why. We're going to need more people like us, personalities that can talk to the people. We don't need no more Joe Bidens where you don't know what the fuck's going on because he's dead. And, you believe me? You know, all this other weird dead man shit. We don't need that. We need more people that are going to interact with you, hear what you have to say, talk to you, and just have conversations. But we're not going to sit out in public and make ourselves vulnerable because that's being too trusting of the powers that be. That's where Charlie, that was Charlie's only one blind spot. Let's get back to Tim.
We wanted to wait to be graceful and understanding on the grief. So we didn't press.
I'm sorry, like and subscribe, share the video. The Single Boyfriend on YouTube or Right Wing Rico on YouTube. Please like the video, help me get into the algorithm. I don't know what I'm doing. I just heard a lot of people say this. So like, subscribe, and share it so I can be in the algorithm. I don't even know if that means. I don't know if it's true, but I'm just saying it because everybody else says it on YouTube. I'm new, but I do this every day for you guys. If you follow me, I'll keep you entertained and I'll keep you talking about different topics every day. I'll try my best. You don't have to send me any money or anything. Just follow, subscribe. That's enough.
The issue. However, in the past month or so, we did communicate with them about what are the plans for America Fest as we do it every year. And initially we were told nothing has changed and the plan is as usual. And we said, sounds good. That's when we began to promote ticket sales. Again, I'm not trying to make it seem like we're principally responsible for them selling out or anything to that matter, just that we're a small component that will no longer be involved. Considering the fact that we did promote it, I want to make sure I'm being as transparent as possible. In the first year that we were invited to Turning Point, I was a bit, I've described this story before, reluctant to do so in that it's very, very difficult. And it is asking a lot of anybody for us to try and bring us out. We have a crew of about 13 that comes with us. Seriously, we have to build a studio. We have to integrate with existing studios. We have to have coordination. There's PR and event coordination. There's a lot that goes into it. Not to mention me, my family. So we bring the crew with us. We don't need to bring literally everybody who I'm going to avoid saying names, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Style, the gumption. And he said, no, you're with me, brother. And I was like, wow, look at me. I mean, Timcast is some little island off in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? To be invited to be a part of this big movement, I am eternally grateful for the honor to have been involved. The third year was even better. Memories, man. Ian falling off the stage, us sitting with Tucker Carlson. It really was something truly incredible. And that's why it hurts that we're not going to be there. So I've been informed that comments I had made on the Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub podcast were hurtful to some people at Turning Point USA. And for that, I would not be invited back. The comments in question were pertaining to the conspiracy theory that the highest levels of Turning Point, the executives, had intentionally murdered Charlie Kirk and that they were celebrating and they wanted to take over. This is the conspiracy theory. I do not believe that's true. I have encountered many people who have said to me that these individuals who I'm going to avoid saying names, but I think you know what I'm talking about. They're too happy. They're not grieving properly. They're celebrating. They're gloating about their viewership. And in response to this, as someone, as I consider these individuals to be friends, I had responded, and you guys can watch the podcast for yourself. Maybe, maybe I could have spoken better. I don't know. But the gist of my idea is,
what they wanted Tim to do was go full Brandon Talmud and just go off the reservation, defending and going crazy for strangers from this country the size of New Jersey and just declare his unwilling loyalty to them on his knees and then to proceed to place said testicles into his esophagus. And there's a Star of David on those testicles. Tim Pool failed to do that. The testicles were only on his lips, which is why he badmouthed Candace. But this is a country that's very sensitive if you talk about them. The testicles must go in your esophagus, in between your trachea and your epiglottis. If it's an inch in either direction, you will be canceled. Brandon Tatum is a professional. He is not, but even if black ass Tatum makes one false accidental move, they're done with him too. So Tatum, who is basically, because, I'll be honest, his run as far as just doing police reaction videos and explaining to the public how the police are right, because now we all watch body cam footage, but this is pretty new. We all watch body cam footage now, but at one time, Brandon Tatum used to defend the police, which was highly unusual for somebody of his pigment. He's trying to expand and move into politics, but he understands who butters his toast. He's not neutral. So he's doing what he has to do. Tim is not. So because Tim is not behaving like Brandon Tatum is and coming to a full blitz to defend these people blindly, they feel like he is disloyal and he is no longer a part of the cult. He's out in the cold by himself on the island he says that they're already on, which is fine. He has his own circle, but this is dangerous territory for somebody of his size, just in my opinion.
I believe it is absurd to assume or to imply that individuals at Turning Point murdered their best friend or husband, whatever the implication may be, because Charlie was the man who built this thing up.
Then don't fucking say it. See, he knows what he's doing. To say, I don't believe in the conspiracy theory about, them, you're literally putting it out there. What if a lot of us are just sitting here like, I don't know what the theory is. And then Tim Pool, with his national platform, his worldwide platform, tells you the conspiracy. But I don't believe it, but let me just tell you what it is. You're platforming it. You're putting it out there. Like, I know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. We've all been children before. You're like, no, I'm not cursing. I'm just telling you what you told me not to say. Like the Papa John guy. Remember, I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what I told them not to say. But you're still saying it. Not saying he shouldn't have been able to say this American freedom of speech, but you're still talking about it. So you're giving it light. You're keeping it alive, which is good, Tim. I'm glad you're telling people that that's what the theory is, because people are going to look into it. That theory that you're talking about there, what people are saying, this theory about the wife and the people that, all I know is the people from Turning Point got a whole lot of money to divide up between each other now that Charlie's gone. Everyone was watching the bank. Charlie was the only one just out there in the forefront. Charlie was the face and everything. I didn't even know Turning Point had an organization. I never heard of none of these people until Charlie died. Nobody had. No one even knew his wife's name. She wasn't involved because that's not her assignment. Her assignment was to be his handler. She did that. Candace is not the kind of person that you can silence. So they sent Erica to separate Charlie and Candace, who likely would have already married. Charlie was deeply in love with Candace. He's the one who admitted Candace friend-zoned him. He was in love with her. And she's a good woman to be in love with. Could you have imagined the force that could have been Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens? But then again, them against Israel, they would have done way more damage before they could have, I don't know, made a plane crash or a helicopter go down with them in it. I mean, it would have. That's why they had to separate the two. And now look at Candace, the biggest podcast in the world. And you got the likes of Steven Crowder coming at her. And he does a video today. Oh, she's saying I'm a deep state. Man, bro, she doesn't even have to say that. You're working on behalf of these people for free. But you need clicks. He's an insecure man who's insecure about his show. He always has been. He even had he had a big beef with the Daily Wire and what other creators, and he doesn't feel that the space can handle multiple people because he feels like we take away from one another. So anybody who's growing or who has prominence, Crowder comes after. Tim Pool's been very nice because him and Crowder are working on they have an agreement together on Rumble. So he has to be careful what he says about Crowder, but Crowder called Candace a cunt, and then Tim Pool started talking shit about her too. But now Tim Pool is in her shoes. They're both on the out. Now they're the alternative right, or whatever you want to call us. We're not make Israel great again. We're make America great again. But if you have to make Israel great again to be MAGA, then you can have it. We're America first, America only. Tim's over here with us now. Not because he wants to, but because he was kicked out the other side. The other side is controlled by Israel if you're a conservative, and everybody knows that there is no, they'll even tell you. Look at Mark. I didn't even know the leader was Mark Levin. Who the fuck cares about what Mark Levin thinks? I don't care what he thinks. You don't get to decide who's MAGA and who's not. Who are you? So you and Ben Shapiro are magically the leaders of MAGA? How about you both go fuck yourselves? And I'll tell them that, both of them, that to their faces. I wouldn't shy away from it. I'm a big boy. Good luck. Things are going to have to change. But you can't just push people in and out of who are you to tell me I'm no longer a part of this? I built it. Tucker built MAGA. America first MAGA. Do you know how much we sacrificed to bring Trump into the presidency? I don't appreciate him turning on MTG. She's my favorite politician of all politicians. She was on Timcast before. I don't see him defending her enough. She's not wrong about anything. But it's fear. But even with all that fear he had of the Zionists and of Israel, they still cut him out, and they're going to cut him out of more. So he'll start telling you more. He's been going through a lot lately with death threats and security issues, and these Zionists are onto him, but they have the globalists to worry about now. So, that might help Tim actually, because they have bigger fish to fry now.
And made it all. And many people had great jobs, great salaries. Some even made lots of money. Why would they kill their own friend over this? I think that's silly. And the reality is, behind the scenes, there are many people who fear Turning Point USA cannot survive without Charlie Kirk. It's not a secret. People inside the organization know this. Prominent personalities know this. And I will say, nobody really wants to say it. The point that I had made on the Callan and Schaub podcast was that they're trying to put on a strong face to say to the world, we will not be defeated. Terrorism will not stop us. And so they're displaying strength and trying to show that they're not going to be deterred. From this, there have been individuals who have then inferred or used it to say, aren't they acting weird? Shouldn't they be grieving? And then implying that potentially they're involved in some way. And so I think it's fair to say, I'm not involved with Turning Point. They're friends. But the truth is they are grieving. They do have fears. They do have worries, but they're showing strength for you. I was told that this was offensive, I guess. And it goes against the vision of what they're trying to portray. And for that, there was no intention to invite me back following my statements in this regard. Well, okay. Guys, no, I'm not going to get mad at anybody for not doing me a favor. It's not my party. I'm not an organizer. I'm not a donor. In fact, it was expensive for them to bring my show out there. I think the reality of this is maybe we don't see eye to eye and they don't like that I said that. And that's fair. Nobody has to just accept things that I say and be nice to me. I do think that a core element of this is, though, Charlie may not have liked everything about me. I don't know, but he was a good guy and he knew how to lead. I think ultimately, whatever Charlie thought of me, he saw value in the audience that watches my show. And I think it has to do with we are principally disaffected liberal types, creatives, former liberals. That
no, Charlie was never a former liberal. But Tim, don't beat yourself up about it. You're on the outside. You're not this was not Charlie. This is the people that were under Charlie who are now in charge. These are the people that were telling Charlie, not to bring you to AmFest for the last 3 years. But now that Charlie's not here to tell them to shut up and we're going to bring different people on, bringing you on was a problem anyway because you and your crew are wild cards. Phil that remains is a rock star. In Crossland is like some spaced out hippie guy that makes hella good points, okay? And you bring on different people and you guys talk. That's not allowed because in general conversations, when this one topic is accidentally brought up and people start telling their reviews, you spark ideas in the minds of others. Just like when you were telling people the conspiracy theory was talking about, you're sparking ideas. They don't want you to do that. They want everybody to be in a cult and repeat after them. Now, as Americans, we're not good at that. I know I'm not. I say whatever the hell I want to say. I will ask whatever I want to ask. Who the hell are you to tell me how to speak? You can't. Who are you to tell me who I can interview and who I can speak to? I'll talk to whoever I want to talk to. I don't care who they are. It could be somebody from the Klans. It could be not. I want to know what all these different people think. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear their side of it. But they don't want you to platform them because it will spark ideas. And maybe you might figure out you have more in common with them than the people that are telling you not to talk to them who control what you think. They control what you see. Right now, AmFest is going to control what their audience hears by blocking Tim and his crew from being there. How is that healthy for the debate? It's not about healthy debate. It's about control. What did Morpheus say? There's a war for your mind, and I never believed it. But if we are in the Matrix and this is a simulation, then all of this just makes sense. If space is fake and everything is just, and we are in the image of God and God's right there, we're actually special. We're not just, obscure grains of sand in a cosmic beach where we're just nothing. If we're actually unique and special, then yes, all of this matters. Everything we say, everything we do, it counts. We inspire others. We create movements. We can make change. But they have to knock down the ones that are in the front first. Tim's internalizing this. It's nothing to do with Tim and just nothing to do with you and Charlie, dude. This is the people that didn't like you already. The same people that told him, wait a minute, you're going to bring Candace. See, they weren't as threatened by you as they are by Candace. But look at the difference a month can make. Now, do you see the difference between you, Tim, and Candace? Candace has the same kind of balls that those Zionists are trying to put on your epiglottis, okay? That's the kind of balls Candace has. But also, Charlie was her real friend. You guys were work buddies at best, Did you cry about Charlie? No. Did she? She hasn't stopped. Don't compare. That's why there's really no comparison. You're not, but you are next to her, though. You're no better than her or Nick or Tucker. So you better learn who your alliances are. You better learn who your real friends are. You better get with them because there's strength in numbers. Welcome to what is this? What is this? Welcome to the revolution. That's what this is. We're revolting.
Have found more in common with the conservative movement, and thus we bring a message, much like libertarians, to the conservative side. We bring a certain percentage that will help the conservative side win, and I want them to. I agree they should. I wish we had more political competition, but that seems to be not the vision, at least right now. Or perhaps it's just they don't operate in the same capacity that Charlie did, willing to be more amicable to other individuals. If they don't like what I have to say, then again, I am owed nothing. I owe them nothing. They owe me nothing. Now, initially, when I went to Phoenix, we did Timcast IRL for a week at the Turning Point Studios. I joined the Charlie Kirk Show, and we even fused Timcast IRL with Thought Crime, which was Charlie's nightly show with Jack Posobiec. We did it all together, and I thought everything was going pretty well. And I had asked the team there if the plan, was going to stay the same. They said, yes, the plan will stay the same. And I said, okay, sounds good. They did express to me, it's hard to do Timcast IRL. It's expensive. It's rough. And we want you there. My reaction was, listen, over the past several months, we have been I understand since Charlie was killed, we haven't, we didn't immediately just say, hey, what's going on? But we have been polite in our messages saying we're really hoping to get the scheduling information because Christmas is coming up. And it's always every year we need to figure out what we're doing with family, how we're booking travel. Is it going to be covered by Turning Point or otherwise? And we are constantly just being told, we'll let you know.
By the way, I will be streaming live on Thanksgiving Day. My ex-girlfriend's coming over and making turkey burgers. We're doing a Friendsgiving, but I will be streaming live. We will still be talking about different topics and just hanging out together. We're all friends here, right? So do me a favor, subscribe to the YouTube, follow me on X, follow me on Instagram, whatever, the Single Boyfriend, pretty much across the board. And hang in there with us. Now you have somebody to hang out with on Thanksgiving if you don't know anyone else.
Well, as of yesterday, being told once again, we're full, but we'll let you know. I talked with my team and I said, I think we have to make a decision. And after talking about it, we said, if the response was they didn't want us there, then I don't think we should put any pressure on them to have us there. It's not my party. And I don't want to be a part of something that at the very least is not unanimous.
Tim, buddy, old pal, you're going to have to learn to deal with rejection now. You've been on a run, an epic run since 2020. Before 2020, you were basically a show like my show. And you were able to boost yourself into a position of prominence. You have different shows, and you're not just only politics. That's your bread and butter with your nightly show, which is amazing. The fact you can do it 5 days a week. Most people don't have that discipline. I know I'd be one to take days off if I could, but I'm growing the discipline. But you're going to have to learn how to deal with rejection better. There will be more rejection. They're not going to. Right now, the Zionists are kicking and screaming because they're being dealt with. They're dying out. There won't be a Shapiro and a Netanyahu pretty soon. And we're going to have a whole new enemy to fight. I just don't know how that war is going to look because, we're fighting globalists and technocrats and, techno-communists, which is different than the Zionists. We're going to be dealing with the trans. We're not going to be dealing with the LGBT no more. There will be a thing in the past. So the rejection is something you're going to have to get used to. And typically, like people like myself, when we get rejected, we just start up our own thing that we own and control. That way, nobody can reject us. We can't be fired from something that we own ourselves. Don't depend on anybody else. He should have made Timfest 20. As soon as they told him to go fuck himself, he should have announced there's going to be Timfest 2025 on the exact same day. The same way Turning Point wants to do a Christian Super Bowl show because Bad Bunny, which I don't think Bad Bunny was a good pick because the audience doesn't speak Spanish and all of his songs are in Spanish. But the same way they're going to do a competing show, Tim could have made his own AmFest. He has the numbers. You don't need these fake friends and these false people who, and let's be honest, the people who get mad at you when you lie or do they get mad at you when you tell the truth? There's something there. You're hitting on the right things. Those people were involved in what happened to Charlie. Even if they weren't physically involved, their silence is compliance. If you know something, but you're not speaking out, that's the same thing. I watched an interview that his security guard, one of the security guards, man, that dude, how you're a security guard, cool as fuck with guns, wearing shades, but in this interview, you're shaking like a leaf. Why are you not calm? Why are your hands so fidgety? It's because you're not telling the truth and you're scared. Not scared that someone's going to find out. You're scared that the people who are telling you what to say might think you're a liability. And if they could do that to your boss, who you should have been loyal to, well, then you're lunch meat, pal. You're alien food. So that's what I mean by you got to know who your alliances are. And I know if I was disinvited to something, I would literally just throw my own. I don't care if there's 10 people there. It's better than me having to kiss somebody else's ass to bring me somewhere. Never do that. Right now people are watching you sweat. They're watching you be sad and they're watching you be rejected like a prom date, bro. You got to get over that. Kirk is gone. These people didn't like you to begin with. They were never your friends. The only one who even dealt with you when you showed up was Kirk. It wasn't a bunch of his friends. You never had Josh Hammer on your show. They never liked you. You were always a risk. They didn't control you. You're not in their pocket. Kirk was. And then as soon as he turned down the money, it wasn't in their pocket no more. He's with the fishes, you know. There's a consequence. Luckily, Tim hasn't had to pay that consequence yet. A lot of us haven't. You don't see Candace Owens doing public speaking. For what? There's a target on her. There's a target on anybody who's speaking about the truth. All we have to do now is just wait. The globalists are coming in. The globalists are going to handle the heavy lifting. We just got to wait it out when it comes to dealing with these Zionists. We'll play a little bit more of Tim, but I don't like the groveling and I don't like the self-pity. I don't.
In their decision of whether or not Timcast IRL should be a part of this. If there's anybody at the higher ups who said, we're not inviting you, Tim, then my response is like, bro, I'm not a party crasher, and far be it from me to make any phone call or tell you, you have to have me. I don't play that game. We certainly have a bunch of opportunities we're pursuing, and there's other things that we're going to be doing for our end of the year finale. I just think that, my conversation with some of these guys was all good things. All good things.
I appreciate you all. Hundreds of people are now watching. Thank you. I'm going to clip all this up and share it. Like and subscribe. Like it. And I think that helps me get seen in the algorithm. I see more people are joining. Thank you all for being here. Follow me across the board. The Single Boyfriend. I do politics and relationships, and we talk about things together. We're all friends here, right? So I like you guys tuning in. And I do these pretty much every day. I do about 3 or 4 episodes a day. So I love making entertainment for you guys. I really do like Tim Pool. I'm a part of the Timcast organization. I did not appreciate him being rude with the bullshit he was saying about Candace within the same time period that Crowder was talking shit about Candace, just because she wanted to ask questions about what happened to her friend, who was also supposed to be your friend. You're supposed to echo her, not tell her to be quiet. I don't understand that. It's all of a sudden something happens to Tim tomorrow. Does he want everybody just to move on in a week? Or does he want us to keep his name alive, ask questions, and get to the bottom of it? You know, you got to think about that. You could be next. That's the whole purpose of us trying to figure out how it happened to Charlie, is because if we don't, then it's going to happen to someone else. Don't you want to stop it? Don't you want to know how to prevent it from happening again? Well, then ask more questions. These narratives that someone's an official story is somebody telling you what to think. You should be able to do your own individual research and investigation, and you and the official story should both come to the same conclusion. But if they're telling you to not look into it yourself and just trust what I'm saying, and that's where you get your conclusion from, then there is a problem. Whenever somebody doesn't want you to do your own, even your own experiment, they don't want you to do an experiment on your own. They're going to just give you the results and tell you what's going to happen. Don't go figure it out for you. You should be suspicious. That's a part of being an adult and being a human, especially as a man. You should want to be able to figure out where you're going and don't just take somebody's word for it. You need to know that you have to be the leader of your group. You have to be able to figure out where are the dangers and what's safe. You have to know. Right now, there's danger all around us because of our speech. Isn't that something that's supposed to be protected by the First Amendment? But what is the First Amendment? It's a part of the Constitution. What's the Constitution? It's a piece of fucking paper. And the only strength the Constitution has lies within the men standing behind it with guns, willing to enforce it. That's the best we have. And if we don't have that, we don't have anything. So if you believe in the Constitution, it'll believe in you. You should not be trying to tell people, you shouldn't be telling people to not look into their friends, not to say certain things, that's not your place. You can turn it off, you can not listen, but to tell someone how to speak is ridiculous. And now it's happening to Tim. He's paying the price for his speech and he didn't even really say anything. It's not about what Tim said, it's about what other people he had on said. And he's internalizing it because he doesn't want to blame his friends, because he needs them to come back on the show. They're a big part of the entertainment. Watching him go back and forth with Milo and all these different guests, it's entertaining, but it's also educational. So he has to, he has to choose. Obviously, going to choose his cat. He's going to choose his team, but this is dangerous territory for Tim, and he shouldn't do any public events. He should stay in the house for a while. He should just stay in the studio, make content. But he's on the outs, and he's going to have to learn. Now he's out here with me. I'm out here with Nick. I'm out here with Candace. We literally all talk about a lot of the same stuff with the same critics of the same groups. And not a lot of people are willing to do it because they're worried about monetization. I've never been monetized, so I can't miss what I never had. Also, I have a business. I work already. I have my own money. I don't necessarily have to depend on ad revenue. I have a couple of sponsors who I greatly appreciate. Shout out to cosigning.com. Thank you guys. And thanks to my audience who have been supporting my sponsors. My sponsors are telling me they're getting more hits on their websites because people who watch my content go to them and they're like, hey, I seen you here. So thank you guys for supporting me. I appreciate it. One day, maybe I'll be sitting in Tim's shoes. Once upon a time, Tim quit. He said he was going to quit. And I'm not going to give you guys all the details if you weren't watching his show back then. I don't want to bring up old memories, but at one point in time, Tim Pool said he was going to quit, didn't show up for an episode. Ian was there. And, I always was thinking like, well, damn, if Tim leaves, well, who am I going to watch? And then I had to realize that why don't I become the person that I want to watch? Because there's a big space. If he leaves, there's going to be a big vacuum. Well, then who's going to fill up that gap? And I was like, okay, well, then maybe I should start making content and talking to people. Why not? Because one day, if he's not here, someone's going to have to fill those shoes. There's going to be a vacuum. There's not a ton. There's not 1,000 Tim Pools. There's not 1,000 Charlie Kirks. These are one-offs. So it's very rare that another person is going to come in, fill that gap, talk to people, make the content, and be there to create for people to come watch. And hopefully I'll be able to fill some of those shoes one day. Right now, there's no need for the single boyfriend. For Rico Limbaugh, Rush Limbaugh, Rico Limbaugh. That's why I took that. I like that. I love the last names. That's where Rico Limbaugh comes from. I'm a big Rush Limbaugh fan. But if these people decide to quit one day because of the pressure, well, then who's going to talk to you guys? Who's going to make the content and speak to the audience and bring on guests and do interviews? I'm supposed to wait on Jimmy Kimmel and his band of trans and gays and vaccine specialists that want to inject you with bullshit. I'm supposed to wait for him and Colbert? Or do I get out here myself, throw myself in the fray, knowing I'm going to get criticized? I'm a relative nobody. If you look into my personal life, you would never think I have anything to do with anything like this. Because for the most part, I'm just partying and getting drunk and playing video games with my friends. And, I work, but I'm just getting fucked up and, hanging out with my dogs. This was not in the cards for me. It's just that I started watching his content. And one day I remember he just quit. So I said, maybe I'll start making content. He eventually came back. But I was like, well, there's going to eventually be a time where maybe they need someone like me. Maybe I can be a sub, who knows?
Behind the scenes, there is infighting to which people don't realize is particularly severe. Prominent personalities are unwilling to discuss what their concerns are. And I feel like this is damaging to the movement. I am a small island of a weird space. I'm not a staunch conservative suit-wearing guy, pro-life or whatever, any of those things. But we do have bridges to these other networks, and we hope to succeed because Trump represents something better than the alternative. It does feel like beyond this, with the Tucker Carlson controversy around Turning Point, with the Candace Owens controversy pertaining to Turning Point, this was the glue. Turning Point was the glue that held everything together, and it's breaking apart. I genuinely believe it was because Charlie was the one who did it.
Tim, you better hurry up and have Nick on, because this is only just the beginning. You're going to be fighting every day, and remember, it's about who your friends are more than it's about who your enemies are. You need to get Fuentes on your show. You need his audience, and you need a coalition. Even Fuentes is promoting Candace, even though he had choice words for her. We're not all going to get along, but there is a greater good. because we know what happens if we lose. Then all this is for nothing anyway. We know what it looks like when there's a communist takeover, and we know what happens to dissidents. Prison is in our future. Prison for our words, not for our actions, but just for the fact that people listen to us. And that's where revolutions start from. That's where change comes from. These people that are going to be taking over, that are coming into power, well, the people that helped them get there are going to be their biggest threat because they know how to remove other people and put new people in power. So they got to get rid of them. That's why we have to succeed. It's life or death for us too, not just for people on the left. It's life or death for the right. Again, Tim's repeating a lot of the same stuff. We're going to fast forward a little bit.
I believe that Charlie would text back everybody, just moderate like myself. Well, now the debate isn't so much what is Bud Light doing? What is Target doing? What is TLC or Disney doing? No, a lot of these programs have been crushed. It's harder to get donations. It's harder to sell the movement when you no longer have a grand enemy. The left still has their Trump, but it's not enough for the average person. Thus, debates form. Individuals on the right might say something like, we need to now focus on stopping the flow of money to foreign countries, Israel in particular, which is a big issue for Candace and Tucker, of course. But then there are individuals on the right who are very, very adamant that we continue to fund Israel.
The fact that he would even dare say, even if he's saying that he's just being neutral about it, but to even mention stopping the funding to Israel, you put a you put a laser target on your own back, and your platform is way too big for you to take these kind of risks if you're scared. But if you're brave, speak your truth. But if you're scared, if you're gonna run, because the kind of heat that's on Candace, the kind of heat that's on Nick, the kind of heat that all of a sudden hit Charlie, it's gonna come for Tim too. And riding the fence isn't gonna be an option anymore. You're gonna have to pick a side, or you're gonna have to get on the offense, or whatever side you pick, my brother.
And thus, the rift begins. You now have anti-Zionist, pro-Zionist, anti-Semitic as a portion as well. America First, international globalists, John McCain style neocon, all of these rifts start to emerge because we are not focused on a singular enemy. As the Democrats have largely been routed, Republicans won every facet. And here we sit asking ourselves, what is the next big move?
Well, the next big move is the one big enemy that is an enemy to us all. And that is that one country that all of a sudden I can speak ill about on the internet without getting deleted and banned. That same country that's the size of New Jersey. That's the enemy of the American people. That's the enemy of the America First movement. That is make them great again. It's not make America great again. That's magically our president is indebted to him, and our Congress and our Senate are compromised by them. But it's crazy because the World Economic Forum said they've also penetrated our cabinets. This is a war between the World Economic Forum and the country of Israel. I hope you know that. It's a proxy war. There's foot soldiers or Islam. They fight on behalf of the globalists, and the pro-Palestine people are fighting. They're literally fighting on behalf of the globalists also. But the people on the ground, the Zionists, the BLM people, those are the foot soldiers for the Zionists. And we're watching these two groups clash every month for years now. It's a proxy war. The globalists are winning. In my opinion, they've already won. This war is over. And the Zionists are on their way out, and they're just kicking and screaming because they don't want to go. Ben Shapiro's losing his mind. The Daily Wire is going to go bankrupt. Netanyahu, if he's lucky, will just go to prison. And then we'll have new masters in America. We won't have we won't have the Zionist masters anymore. That's where we are. So that we do have an enemy. It's just that until the last, I would say, month or two, you've never been able to name the enemy directly without literally being banned on every single platform. I know because I've been deplatformed. I lost my Facebook page that I had of 13 years with family photos and memories, and just nuked from orbit. My Instagram pages, my YouTube channels where I had millions of views on old videos. As soon as I started asking questions about that injection and the imaginary sickness, and so I started asking questions about ventilators and who even knows how to properly calibrate them. Oh yeah, they nuked the hell out of me. I would use Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but according to my data, those were only firebombed. So I don't even know if nukes even exist. So I guess I was Dresden firebombed on my social media platforms, just for even asking questions about that one particular place the size of Jersey, you know? So we do have an enemy, Tim. Everyone just has to be on the same page as far as going against them. And I think Tim's going to have to join too. He's let me look at that smirk on his face. He's hurt. He's disheartened. He feels, I mean, everybody's not good at taking rejection. You would think men get used to it, but as far as relationships, we get used to it dealing with women. But on a professional level, when you've been good to certain people, rejection hurts. It hurts. But that's what makes us become independent and play by our own rules. We run by the beat of our own drum. This is going to make him stronger, but it's going to now make him just not give a shit anymore about playing nice with that country the size of Israel, who he's going to figure out those are the ones who had him kicked out of AmFest, period.
The moderate conservative types, more likely neoconservative, are in favor of Trump's H-1Bs. The America First anti-interventionists, a part of this coalition, are very much opposed to H-1Bs.
By the way, I'm opposed to H-1Bs. Fuck H-1Bs. And to hell with Trump's comment about we don't have the talent here. We are 300 million Americans with robust skills and the capacity to learn anything. Not all of us. A lot of us are autistic due to damage from childhood vaccines. Brain swelling prevents certain people from even learning or being able to process complex data. That's why listening to a podcast like mine would give them a headache. They don't have the attention span. But that's only 13% of the American population. The rest of us can process data. You can train us to build anything. We were building things before we were outsourcing things. So I reject Trump's idea that we need H-1B visas because we don't have the talent. When you say you're America first, you have to be Americans first. That is downwind from that. It's a natural progression. But when I say America first, I also mean America only, not 80% America, 20% we bring in foreigners. We don't need that. I'm glad we got rid of all those CDL drivers in California. I have friends in California that are telling me that they are getting job offers to drive big rigs, where the rate is 2 or 3 times higher than normal because they need to replace all those foreigners who barely spoke English and couldn't even read our signs on the highways. They got to replace them. People keep thinking, oh, if we don't have illegals, no one's going to do the work. Shut the fuck up. You never even gave us a chance to turn down the work. How do you know we won't work in the fields and pick grapes and cotton? You never offered us a goddamn job to go do it. We've had illegals here working in the fields since the 70s. We don't even know as Americans, we don't even know to look for these jobs. I'm from California. I never even knew you could get a job at a McDonald's or a Subway as a teenager. Every time I walked into one, there were 40-year-old Hispanics with 5 kids working jobs that I'm supposed to be able to work as a kid during the summer. They're trying to support a whole family working these jobs. I had no chance of getting in there. So I started to gangbang. We all did. You join gang. There's nothing else for you to do. It's summertime. You're with your friends. You guys just actually now are called a gang. There's no jobs because illegals are the best employees because they work for shit. We can't compete with people that work for shit. For the first time in my life, we're getting rid of them. But Trump wants to bring in other illegals to replace some illegals. And I'm like, you can't do that, Trump. That's not going to work. Not for the America First agenda. Why don't you actually take some of these H-1B visas and force Netanyahu to hire these fuckers? How about that? How about you send half of Sri Lanka and New Delhi to Jerusalem and fucking I don't know what other cities are in Israel. Why don't you send them there and let them get hired in their tech fields? and let Netanyahu get all those. Maybe we got a monopoly on the immigration. Since immigrants are what makes a country great, maybe we have a monopoly on immigrants, and maybe we need to spread the wealth. Let's make all these other countries great again and send the immigrants there. We have enough of our own people that need work. I couldn't believe that asshole talked about, what do you want to do? Take them out of the unemployment line and teach them how to make a missile? Yes, motherfucker, yes. If they need training, tell them where to go get trained. Let them take 5 years to get certified to build missiles and put them in a missile factory. The hell's wrong with you? Bro, Trump said that in that interview. I couldn't believe it, but let's go ahead. Back to Tim.
Libertarians are taking issue with Trump's stance on Israel, as well as foreign funding, and thus the cracks begin. So I don't take it personally. I think this is just what happens. Behind the scenes, I feel that there is an effort to resist this change, and I can respect it. We don't want the movement to break because there is a power in unity that will allow us to win, and we have to win the midterms. Democrats haven't just ceased to exist. So there are many individuals who have spoken with me and said, Tim, please just say nothing and keep doing your thing. There have been individuals who said, we will intervene on your behalf and make them invite you. And my answer is, that's never been me. I'm not one to play those games. I want Turning Point to succeed, and I have no doubt this year will be the biggest and the best.
No, it won't, Tim. AmFest is a dud. It's a nothing burger. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of people that are going to show up thinking about Charlie, wearing Charlie's shirt, selling merchandise. There's no more message. There's nobody that's going to debate the psycho lefties on campus about how who feel sorry for themselves because they were born black, or because they were born gay, or because they're just an idiot liberal that wants a bunch of free shit and they hate you because you're against communism. There's nobody. I mean, now listen, I could show up to these events and have these debates. I love debates, and I'm a big boy. I can handle myself in case things get sticky. And I've done these public events, and I've had good turnouts. It's only been one time that anybody was dumb enough to even think that there was going to be a fight. And he regretted it. And afterwards, when he woke up, he apologized to me. And he should have. He owed me an apology. But I don't mind going to these schools and doing these events. But unless you got somebody that can do that, there is no more Turning Point. This AmFest is just a waste of time because you're already speaking to your choir. You're not converting. See, that's the thing. When you do these events, do you really want to go to an echo chamber, or do you want to go somewhere where there are people who've literally never heard what you have to say that might want to rethink some of their stances and listen to some more and actually come back to you? You don't need to just talk to people that are already on your side. You need to talk to people who are open to listening. New people who were already confused. I'm watching a Charlie Kirk interview. I'm watching Charlie Kirk on campuses today, and he was talking to certain women that at first they were so happy about their abortion, and then these women broke down because he explained to them the miracle of life and how special these women are to God and how life is a blessing, and so are children. He's speaking to these women, completely changed them from being pro-death liberals to never wanting to harm another human life and wanting to be a better person and actually reevaluating themselves. It takes charisma to do that, but Charlie Kirk he had charisma because he believed in what he was saying. That's how he really felt. He wasn't just saying it to say it. He believed it. He lived it. So it's a big difference. And that's who you want to talk to, people who you can bring over, not people that are already. You go to AmFest, those are all the same. It's an echo chamber. No matter what you get up there, you can go up there and get on the mic and say, one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, and they're all going to repeat after you like sea lions. There's no questions. No one's going to say anything. No one's going to counter you. You want new people. So you're going to have to do outreach. I'll do it. I'm sitting here talking. I'm reading the comments. I'm trying to keep up with them. I've never had this many comments, or maybe I just didn't know how to check them. But this is amazing. I mean, I'm trying to put all the comments I can on the screen. I don't know how to use StreamYard comments, but I'm going to read them and I'm going to, respond. But yeah, Team Candace, And, let's read some of these comments. Jobs have been outsourced overseas to illegals of a country that pays them slave wages. And guess what? They come to the United States and they're paid slave wages too. And the company that there's companies that go over there like headhunters, and they poach these people, and they make profit off of these people taking these lower wages. They make money in the spread. Don't get me wrong, the company is still saving money from having to pay American workers, but there's just so many people making money off of slavery. When you're not paying a person what you owe them or what they should be paid for the kind of work they're doing, that's the closest to slavery that we have. These people don't get benefits. And I'm not saying that kind of work deserves benefits, but the reason they won't hire Americans is because slavery is still a prominent thing in this country. And I'll be honest, I not hired illegals to do work for me to save money? Absolutely. I'm a builder. I work in real estate. Shit, I own tons of all these Airbnbs. Do you think I'm hiring English-speaking people to clean these apartments? No, I'm hiring people, but now I look at it different. I don't want to do that anymore. If I'm going to say America first, then I got to put Americans first. I'm going to have to hire citizens now. Yeah, it cuts into your profit margin, but you got to think about the greater good. It's not just about me. In capitalists and this kind of society, you do got to think about yourself. But if I'm going to be moving forward in this movement, then I can't be a hypocrite, right? So I'm going to try not to. Tim does look like FTM. I forgot. I don't know who FTM is. Let's see here. Mostly agriculture and food processing. Yes, but Americans can do that too. Think about it. Has anybody ever offered you a job doing agricultural or food processing? No, because there's always a supply of illegals. You've never had to even offer American talent. I'll be honest. I had a black friend of mine stop at a cotton field in Arizona, and he actually on video started picking cotton. And you know what he said? He said, "This isn't that bad. That means there's hope for us. There's hope for Americans in those fields. If you're going to pay people money to go out and do work, they will work. Nobody wants to be poor. They just took the opportunities away from us and then told us we didn't want it. It's like, how do you know? You never even offered it to me." So that's why we don't want the Zionists, and we really don't want Trump giving away our money to these foreigners and offering them our opportunities and making excuses for it, pretending that we're just too stupid. If he would have told us that on the campaign trail, I'm not saying that would have made me vote for a fucking drunk Indian chick cosplaying as some kind of soul sister, but I would have been a little bit more critical, and I would have asked more questions. I would have brought up more questions about, well, how do you really feel about the American talent pool in the United States? And I think going forward, I mean, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they think we're idiots. A lot of us are, but think about it. People come to America to go to school. So obviously we can't be that bad. We can't be that bad if they're coming here to get educated. Let's see here. If Tim had balls, he would show us his ball. I'll be honest with you. I've never seen that man without that beanie. So, yeah. I mean, people think I wear this MAGA hat because I don't have a hairline. Bro, I'm Cuban. I have braids. But I'm like, maybe if I'm going to start doing more shows and doing events, maybe I shouldn't even wear braids. I'll probably just go back to wearing my hair curly like I normally do. But yeah, I don't know what's underneath that beanie. I don't think he's a cone head, but I've never seen him without it. He's never shown up without that beanie. So I don't know. I don't know. He's pretty consistent with that. But yeah, I mean, thank you. Printing of currency is how they enslaved all the U.S. citizens. Yeah. Our slavery began in 1913 with the creation of the Federal Reserve, and we are all enslaved to them. People don't know the Federal Reserve is not federal at all. Actually, our country borrows money from the Federal Reserve, which is actually unconstitutional, yet everyone's paid to just shut the fuck up. So no one ever brings it up or makes it an option to ask questions. And you can run on abolishing the Fed, but you better not try it. They said that's one of the fatal mistakes Kennedy made. Also, besides the denying Israel the permission to build a bomb, and they didn't like that. Not saying that I believe those types of bombs exist, but I guess Kennedy thinking he can tell them what to do when they're the ones that are in control. I guess they showed us. I guess they showed him. So, but watch Matan's interview. Okay, I will. You know, I'm going through the comments. It's a lot of good ones, actually. The witch of Endor out. She's accusing everyone like the accuser of the brethren does. No, I don't see her accusing everyone. I think she's being pretty specific. Everyone means you're saying everybody. No, she's being specific. When you're accusing everyone, you don't specify people and you don't tell who they are. How much did he get paid? Is my first thought. Yeah, too. Tim Pool licks BB's balls during their secret meeting when he gets war propaganda. I've heard that he did an interview with Netanyahu that he didn't put out. Do I think that he pressed BB and he asked him any tough questions? Absolutely not. Do I think he's afraid of BB? Absolutely. Tim's not a dumb guy. He's extremely analytical, like me. He knows what happened to Charlie, and he knows who's suspect number one because Charlie's not the first person they assassinated. They're professional assassins. They're known for assassins. There's a movie from 2005 called Munich with the guy that played the first, not Edward Norton, the other guy that played the Hulk. He stars in that movie, and the guy that played 007. They're in that movie. It's called Munich. It's all about Mossad traveling the world, assassinating people with no judge, no trial, no jury, and really no evidence that they even did anything wrong. They just made a list of people to go hunt down, and they hunted them without question. It's a movie about a real events that happened in the 70s. We're in 2025. You don't think they're more sophisticated now? You don't think they outsource their heavy duty? The same people that are liquidating children next door to where they live. You don't think that they would, I don't know, hire Egyptians to come over here, handle something, fly back, plausible deniability, no connection? Man, please. I don't like everybody being naive. I don't like people not using critical thinking skills. See, I'm not your dad, right? And I'm not your owner. I'm not a Zionist. I'm not going to tell you what to believe and what to think. I'm just going to give you the options of things to consider. You know, don't you want to have the choice on what you can decide to believe, or do you really need somebody to hand feed you the information? The problem is you got to look at who's holding the spoon and then who's controlling them. You got to ask. These are all questions that must be asked. Yeah, people are saying he has no spine. And they're saying F the Islamists. Yeah, I mean, look, this is wartime. These are all things that you're going to have your time to shine. Satyam Kumar, you're going to have your time to shine. You're going to be able to tell them in person. You'll be able to tell these people directly to their face how you really feel. You don't have to do it in the chat right here. You know, everybody's have their time to shine eventually. Yeah, that's how they enslaved us all. That is a great movie, Munich, but a lot of people never seen it. Munich. It's actually a city in Germany. I used to live in Germany. I've been to Munich once. I didn't hang out there. I was actually on the train on my way back to Frankfurt. But there was an Olympic ceremony there. They took some Israeli, the PLA, the Palestinian Liberation Army, took Israeli hostages. I think they died. And after this, they went on a manhunt all over the world, allegedly hunting down Palestinian people that organized the entire thing. But no one even knows if they had anything to do with it. There's no evidence or anything. There was no trial. There was just a list with a bunch of names on it. So what if you just don't like somebody and you just happen to have a pin in your name? You're like, hey, what's that? Everyone looks and you just write down the name of somebody you don't like. You put the pin down like, oh, man, it must have went away. And now there's somebody you don't like on the list. So you can just go around hunting people down, liquidating them, and there's no accountability at all. And this is what that country has been known for doing for, man, since its inception. Maybe even prior. Maybe prior to 48 as well. It's not like they're going to tell us. But I mean, until now, they never had anything to fear. So I mean, I guess they could have. Is the spoon, the fork, and the knife? All war powers come from contract to maintain postal routes. I see your point. And the United States is a servicing organization description, while the United States is the name of an individual corporation entity. Yeah. I appreciate all the feedback and all the comments. Please like and subscribe, share the video. I do appreciate interacting with you all. I'm going to keep this under 2 hours so I can slice up this video and share it. We'll play a couple more minutes of Tim, but he's hurt, But let me find some other good parts of this video.
And if I'm not invited because of how leadership views things, then, hey, look, man, as I've always said, I really have no problem living in a van down by the river. I waste my thoughts and energy on those other people. Now, as for Turning Point, perhaps they view it as my comments were a betrayal of them. And that's fine. They can think what they want to think. The movement needs those who are going to champion foreign investment and foreign intervention. I'm not saying that's definitively why it happened, nor am I trying to cast aspersions, nor impugn the honor of anybody. But I think one of the principal rifts right now is that young people do not care about our involvement in these foreign countries. They want to know how they're going to buy a house and have a family. But I believe if you're going to change this, you need an organization that reaches students that's going to advocate for a worldview that sees it the other way. And so maybe.
I mean, let's look in the past. We were able to own homes and have jobs because of American dominance. But when you keep feeling like you're just so strong and you're so powerful and we need to help out others, then if you want to give up your American dominance, well, then there's consequences for that. You will no longer be at the top. So the luxuries you enjoyed that were yours because other people took it by force, you're going to have to forfeit. You want to be weak. You want to be complacent. You want to be nice. You want to be, equitable with people who from other countries that you don't know. Well, that's going to cost you because the equity is going to have to come out of your pocket. You're either going to be an exceptional American or you're going to be at the bottom. But when you're at the bottom, you can't complain about not being able to do anything anymore. That's what you're asking for. You're asking to be on the bottom. You don't believe in American exceptionalism. You resent it. And communists are always at the bottom. My family's from Cuba. We're the scum at the bottom. The ones who enjoy communism, who stayed in Cuba and didn't leave because we wanted to suck the teat of the government forever and get our government cheese and our mayonnaise and our rice and our little bit of 18 ounces of meat every week so that we can, stretch that out between a family of 4. And we make our little, $28 a month at little jobs. If you want to live like that because everyone's equally poor and you don't feel insecure about your race and, maybe I'm poor because I'm black. And that's why they got rid of the fair-skinned Cubans because that's how they told the black people, well, you're poor because you're black. We get rid of these fair-skinned, we get rid of the white people, then you won't be poor anymore. Magically, the white people are gone and you're still fucking poor because you're an idiot. They finesse. Do you think the same? Do you think what's happening in America is new? They told us the same thing in Cuba. They convinced black people that communism was the cure to racism. Just like they're doing here in the United States. Why do you think there's so many black people screaming for Mondami? Thinking that, well, if he gets rid of the white people, we're all going to be rich because we don't have to work. You're all going to be equally poor. But some people like being poor. Some people love slavery. What is slavery in 2025? Well, it's when you're an adult, but you're also a dependent. If you're an adult, but you depend on the government to feed you, to house you, to clothe you, then you're a slave. You're just minus the labor part. But you waking up and living, that's labor because what you're doing is you're on the census because you're alive. So you're adding to congressional seats where you are. So that is labor in a way. You're actually doing something, but you're a slave. A free person feeds themselves, feeds their family, works, generates on their own. That's a free person. You're a slave when you're being taken care of. And don't let anybody lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Some people like slavery. I told people, I propose we build compounds called plantations where people who don't want to work can just go live, and we'll give them free food, 3 meals a day, limited food though. And you don't have to pay to sleep there. We'll put bunks like a prison, but it's open. You can walk around and just hang out. We'll give you minimal work to do, low skill work to do for a few hours a day. And you can just live there for free indefinitely. And we'll call them plantations. People always want to reject the things I'm saying. You don't understand. Slavery is a part of the human dynamic. Humans, masters and slaves, have been a part of the human dynamic since the beginning of history. People don't like the word, but they love the concept. They love to have somebody tell them what to do. Shit, what's a marriage? Your husband's supposed to be your master and tell you what to do. You're supposed to say, yes, sir, be a support structure. Traditionally, that's how things work. So, let's just be honest with ourselves. Anyway, like and subscribe, share the video. We've heard a lot of what Tim said. He's repeated himself for a while now, but now he sees how Candace became Candace because he was just shitting on her himself, and now he's in her shoes. So now he knows how it feels, and hopefully he'll change some of his rhetoric and realign some of his views. It's good talking to you guys. The Single Boyfriend across all platforms. Follow me. I appreciate it. Share the video. I'll be back in about an hour after I go to dinner. I got a couple other topics. We're going to make fun of John Oliver for being a fucking idiot. And I don't even know why he's telling Americans how to be when his people in his country are being arrested for tweets. Like, he could not have a show in the UK because they'd arrest his monkey ass, but he wants to come over here and tell Americans how we should act. Yeah, take your own advice, but we got a couple of episodes coming up tonight. So follow me and tune back in. I'll be back here to talk to you guys directly in about a little bit less than an hour. Cheers. And remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.